Hi guys, thanks for joining me here at Classic Guitar Rock. I wanted to just do a quick review. I don't know if it's a review. We'll call it a review. I want to talk about my guitar. This is if you've seen any of my other videos, this is my main guitar. It's a Les Paul Standard, but it's not a Gibson Les Paul Standard. Got the signature there and everything, but then it says Orville. What's that all about? So I want to talk about Orville guitars if you're not familiar with them. Let's do a little history first. Back in the 70s, there are what we refer to as the lawsuit guitars. And what the lawsuit guitars were Japanese manufacturers were copying American guitars. Les Paul was a big one. And then there was copies of Fenders too. But the lawsuit guitars were basically Japanese versions of American guitars. And in many instances, the Japanese versions were higher quality than the American versions. For instance, companies like Ibanez and Bernie and Tokai, they made Les Paul copies that were every bit as good as the USA made Gibson Les Pauls. So from like 88 to 98, Gibson actually licensed a company to produce these Gibson guitars. Gibson guitars. But instead of calling them Gibsons, they called them Orville. Now Orville Gibson is the guy who invented or started the Gibson Guitar Company. So they used his first name instead of his last name. Kind of clever, huh? So basically what you have then is you've got guitars built to Gibson specs, just manufactured for the Japanese market, okay? Now, at the same time that all this was going on, and to this day, of course, there's Epiphones. I believe Epiphones are mostly produced in Korea. And I've owned Epiphones. Epiphones are good guitars, but what bugs me about Epiphones is that ugly headstock, right? So what's cool about the Orvilles is they look, unless someone gets right up close to read the Orville, they just assume it's a regular Gibson Les Paul Standard. It is licensed by Gibson. That's why it's got the Les Paul signature and everything on it. Bottom line, the Orvilles are better than the Epiphones. You do a head-to-head between an Orville and an Epiphone, the Orvilles are better. Supposedly, the USA Gibsons are better than the Orvilles, but to be honest, I've played both, and I don't notice a whole lot of difference. I owned my first Les Paul I bought in 1984, 83 or 84. I paid $350 for it. It looked exactly like this. That's why I bought this, because I missed my old Les Paul. Guys, I have done so many stupid things with equipment I've had over the years, and I sometimes cry thinking about getting rid of that Les Paul, because it was a nice one. It was a nice one, and I was stupid and sold it. Anyways, I got this about 8 years ago, paid $650 for it. Typically, you'll see Orvilles on eBay going from, right now, it's usually around $800 to $1,100. Again, better than an Epiphone, maybe not as good as a Gibson, but I don't really notice a difference. I definitely don't notice a difference in a Gibson enough to pay 2 or 3 times as much for one when there are these guitars out there. So if you find or see an Orville, man, I'd grab one. They're really nice guitars. Again, nothing against Epiphones, but they're nicer than Epiphones. They look better than Epiphones because they got the Gibson headstock. And for my money, man, I don't know that I'd be willing to pay 2 or 3 times as much for a Gibson, for what it's worth. But they're great. They're great guitars. I'm just going to noodle around. I'm going to play clean for a minute here. let's add a little dirt here. I'll turn off my chorus. They're good guitars. Like I said, check them out. If you have never seen one or played one, look around for them. They're actually, the word is kind of out on them, right? So they're a little more expensive than they used to be, but still a bargain for the quality of the guitar. And they look great, they sound great, and unless you're looking at the headstock, you probably wouldn't know you weren't playing an authentic Gibson. So just my 2 cents. Hey, thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.